Hi, and welcome back to Self-Sufficient Path. I'm going to be doing a slightly different show today. I'm going to be talking about everyday carry, EDC. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about EDC, and he mentioned that he thought it would make an interesting show. Now, as it happens, we've got a lot going on this week. Some things that we needed to get done that really aren't going to make good video. I'm going to take this opportunity to do a short little video. This fits the format really well. So first of all, let's talk about what EDC is. EDC, everyday carry, a lot of people have the mistaken impression that we're talking about concealed or open carry of a firearm. Now, while that can be part of EDC, to me that's not what EDC is all about. For me, everyday carry is about having the things, the tools, the things that I need on a day-to-day basis throughout the day to get done what I need to get done. I want to have those things on me. I don't want to have to spend time going and looking for them, going and finding them, going and getting them. These are the things that I like to have on my person to get done what I need to get done. Now, this is a very personal topic. EDC is very personal to a lot of people. You'll hear a lot of different opinions on it. I'm not trying to say that my EDC is right for everyone, but this is what works for me. So without any further fanfare, let's go take a look at it. Okay, so let's get started here. First, I'm just going to show you a few of the things that aren't really in my pockets, but that are on me almost every day. First is a ball cap. I have several of them. Obvious advantages here: keeps the sun out of my eyes. Keeps my head covered, and also gives me a handy place to carry this. Depending on the day, what you're seeing here are a pair of safety glasses. Helps me when I'm working in the yard, when I'm working in the shop, that sort of thing. Depending on the day and the situation, those may be traded out for a pair of sunglasses, something like that. We've also got a Bulova Mariner watch. Any good watch will work, but a watch is pretty important. Some advantages of this are the rotating bezel, the date just, those sorts of things. It can be used as a compass if you know how to do it. I have learned how to do it. I can't say I'm an expert at it, but it will work for that. The other thing is my phone. Now, some people will tell you, I actually carry an Android phone. It's a Droid 2. Some people will tell you that's not everyday carry. That's not a tool. My response to that is, well, what tool do you reach for most often as far as the things you carry? For me, I think for most people, that's going to be your phone. I use it for everything from shopping to directions, checking the weather. There's so many things. Email, obviously. So that's a really important part, at least for me, of everyday carry. We've got my keys. Keys to the things I need into. Also have a small Craftsman Multi-tool here. I don't think they even make this particular model anymore. It's got pliers. It's got a knife. It's got a file. It's got screwdrivers. Importantly, it's got a pair of tweezers on it. That's probably the tool I use most often on this particular one, because my full-size multi-tool, which I'll show you in a moment, has most of these things, but those tweezers have come in awfully handy. With this particular one, it has a feature where you can simply lock it onto a keyring itself, and I don't know how long I've been carrying this, but it's never come off. So those are some of the things that I carry that are outside the normal, what people normally think of as everyday carry, but I think they count. There's some tools here. There's some things that I use regularly, and I think they're important. So let's move these things off to the side here, and we'll move on to some of the other things that I carry. So let's just get this out of the way. One of the things that I carry on a regular basis, let's do a chamber check here, is my handgun. This is a Glock 27. It's a 40 caliber Smith & Wesson compact model. I am not a very large guy, so carrying a full-size handgun concealed would be uncomfortable and fairly impractical for me, and for that reason I carry the compact. Now if I'm going camping or hiking or have heavy clothes on and have the ability to carry a full-size, I will carry a full-size pistol, but my EDC, my everyday carry, is a Glock 27. Also carry an extra magazine. Now right now I'm carrying that in my pocket, not particularly handy. I am planning on getting a mag holder so that I can carry it horizontally on my belt. I think that'll be a better solution for me, but for right now I carry it in my pocket. One other thing to add here, oh, and I carry it in a, bear with me a moment, a Concealment Solutions holster. Really like this holster. As you can tell, I've had it for a long time and it really works out well for me. One other thing I want to say here, I noticed as I started filming this that I do have a certain level of discomfort sharing the fact that I carry a handgun. Obviously I have a license to carry a firearm here in my home state, so I'm perfectly legal, but I do have a fairly large sense of discomfort sharing this with an audience. Not because I don't think it's a perfectly acceptable thing to do, obviously I do, but more because I feel like by disclosing that I carry, it makes me a target, both in a very real situation. You know, if there is a person with malintent, the person carrying a handgun becomes the first target. But more for the fact that I know I'm going to get blowback from this video from the anti-gun crowd. But you know, if you know me well, if you've been around me, you know my position on gun rights and on the Second Amendment. So it's not going to come as any surprise to most of the people who know me to find that I carry on a regular basis. With that out of the way, let's move on. Clear some of this out of the way. Let's go to the pockets. A lighter. A lighter's handy for any number of reasons. I use it to light my campfire. I use it to burn the ends of nylon rope and paracord when I'm working with those. I use it to light my acetylene and propane torches. You know, there's any number of uses for it. In this case, I'm just showing one. I actually carry two Bic lighters. I found a lighter at Walmart not too long ago. I believe it was called a Ronco or a Rothco. A little cheap $3.50 lighter. I thought it was junk, but for $3.50 I thought I'd give it a try. Turns out it was a really good lighter. It was a butane lighter, a refillable butane lighter. The flame was adjustable, and it turned out to be really reliable. Now somehow or another I've lost that lighter, so I'm going to have to get a new one. But, you know, for $3.50, that's not exactly a tragedy. So that's next on my list the next time I happen to be in Wally World. So that's one thing. Next thing is a knife. I believe a knife should be part of anyone's everyday carry. I carry a pocket knife. I'll show you what this one is in a moment. My wife carries a pocket knife, not as a weapon, just as a tool. I mean, certainly it can serve as a weapon in a self-defense situation, but I've never had to use my knife in that situation, but I use it daily as a tool. This particular knife is a Kershaw 1985 ST. It is obviously an assisted open folder. Has the thumb stud here. Also has the little stud on the back for assisted opening. Has a Tanto shaped blade as well as serrations. Those serrations, mixed opinions on this, but for me those serrations come in very handy for cutting cardboard boxes, cutting rope, cutting a very large number of things. Now, the straight part of the blade works better for skinning and for processing game, for gutting a fish, but those serrations really work well day to day. Now that's a Kershaw. It's a good knife. It's a cheap knife. It's, I believe, right between $25 and $30, you know, retail. But I'm not married to the Kershaws. I know a lot of guys get married to a particular brand. As far as I'm concerned, the Kershaw is a fine knife. It's not the knife I would have. It's not the knife I will have at some point. But buy a good knife, a CRKT, you know, a Spyderco, a Kershaw, you know, a zero tolerance. But really, you know, get yourself a decent knife. I used to carry a lot of buck knives, but frankly, over the last several years, maybe 10 years, the quality of buck knives have really slipped. So I'm actually kind of staying away from those for now. But get yourself a good knife, a decent knife, and then as your budget allows and as your needs require, upgrade to the knife you really need. Next thing, and probably one of the most important parts of my everyday carry, is a Leatherman Wave. A lot of multi-tools on the market. I've had this particular wave for, I don't know, 10-15 years. Has a lot of features. One of the features I like best is that the main blades of this multi-tool are accessible without opening the multi-tool. I can pull this out of the sheath on my belt and access the blades just with one hand. It has a serrated blade, has a straight or clip point blade, also has a sawtooth blade, and has a file. Now this file, whew, it actually has more of an emery side and a file side. This one really needs some work. Most of the file teeth, if you want to call them teeth, have been rounded over. It's not really an effective tool for this particular blade anymore. You open it up, has obviously the pliers, has the serrated part of the plier jaws, has a wire cutter. We get down in here into the smaller tools. We've got a pair of scissors, which actually work surprisingly well. Has several screwdriver points. This particular one is fine enough it can also be used as an awl. On this side we've got a larger screwdriver, we've got a Phillips head screwdriver, and we've got a bottle opener or can opener. Really a handy tool. This is probably one of the tools that I find myself reaching for the most. We've got a flashlight, in this case a mini mag, 2 AA battery mini mag. This is the fluorescent model. I carried the incandescent models for years and years and years. Recently switched to the fluorescent model. The fluorescent light is brighter. It has more options, but I found it to be a little bit unreliable. Now maybe it's the specific light I've got. You know, that's not to say that it's common to the mag light. I don't know that. I never really had any problems with my incandescents. But I do find sometimes after I turn this on, it will go to the dim setting automatically. It will start to dim out on me. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy a different brand of light or if I'm going to try another one of these. They're not particularly expensive. Now I carry that in a belt holster, and I'll show you the holsters for both the Leatherman and the flashlight. The Leatherman is just the original leather holster. But I also have a leather holster for the Maglite. I don't know where I came across this. It is a mini Maglite brand. It's got the Mag Instrument stamp on here, but I've had it for years. You can tell it's been used and abused, but it's still holding up well. Made out of heavy-duty leather, and I like it a lot. I often carry a Sharpie just because it comes in handy. I don't always carry work gloves on me, but they're always in my truck. They're always handy. and I find that they come in handy just to have. The last thing that I'll show you here, I believe it's the last thing, is a bandana. Now again, a lot of people are probably going to say, well, a bandana isn't an everyday carry item. I would disagree. This comes in really handy. I have children. The uses as far as children goes are self-evident, and I won't go into them. But everything from wiping blood off my arm if I skin myself up working in the yard, wiping sweat off my forehead, tying around my head to keep the sweat out of my eyes, just innumerable uses. It just makes sense to carry. So that is the basis of my everyday carry. I'm trying to kind of pat myself down and make sure I've gone through everything, but I think that's the basics. Actually, it just occurs to me one other thing I want to mention before I close out here. These are tools. These are not safe queens. These are not things that I carry on my belt to look pretty. In fact, the Kershaw actually goes in my pocket with the clip outside the pocket, just because it's easier to get that way. But I have some friends, and I've talked to a lot of people that say, I keep my knife razor sharp and I never use it in case I really need it. That's not the way I treat my EDC. These things get used. You can look at the blade on my Kershaw, and I can tell you it is very sharp. The blade on my knife is always kept sharp, but I use it. I use it doing yard work. I use it in my shop. These are tools, and they get used. And if they get a little dinged up, then they get a little dinged up. That's what they're there for. But I don't try to keep them pretty for pretty's sake. They're tools, and they get used as such. So that's all I'm going to say for today. Time to wrap up. So thanks for walking through this with me today. As always, I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please take a minute and go click the thumbs up button down below the video. And if you want to see more videos like this, please remember to click the subscribe link. And thanks a lot for joining me. One other thing I did want to add before we close out for today. In going through this, I did notice that some of the things that I carry every day, I must have taken a little bit for granted. My knife in particular needed a little bit of maintenance. Like I said, it's always sharp, but it really did need oiled up. It needed cleaned up. Same thing with my Leatherman. So, because you carry these things every day, it can be easy to neglect them, to take them for granted. Don't do that. These are the tools, like we said at the beginning of this video, these are the tools that you use every day, you use throughout your day. Take care of them. So thanks again for joining me, and have a great week.